let's learn some shit about Austin, Texas. I've been to Austin many times, and every single time I come here, it looks drastically different from the last time I was here. The tech boom has created a huge surge inside the city, and skyscrapers are now right next door to old warehouses from the 1800s. But if I've learned anything, is that it doesn't matter how many times you've been to a city, there's always an opportunity to learn some shit. So many amazing movies have been filmed here in Austin, including one of my favorites, 1999 Mike Judge classic, Office Space. And these are the offices that were in the movie. Now, one of the most infamous scenes in that film was when they destroyed the printer. Unfortunately, the big open green space that they destroyed the printer in is now a parking lot. However, there's a great story behind that scene where Mike Judge was writing for Beavis and Butthead Do America, and he had to turn it in, and that printer was giving him problems and gave him that error message. That particular situation inspired the printer scene in Office Space, which is, of course, legendary. But that wasn't the only project film here. Let's go take a look at another special location. We are here up in North Austin at Top Notch, which is the drive-in that was featured in Dazed and Confused. Matthew McConaughey, also from Austin. This was one of his first roles in a major movie, and it's been a classic and one of my favorites for a long time, so we're gonna go get some French fries. Austin City Limits was the longest running music television show in history, and it helped establish the city of Austin as a live music capital of the world. And it also helped establish some of the most iconic performers of our time, including Willie Nelson. Austin is the live music capital of the world, and we know that COVID has absolutely decimated our live music venues. And way before COVID was the Armadillo World Headquarters. And this was one of the most popular music venues in Austin during the 60s and the 70s. Everybody played here. Janis Joplin even got her start here. Now, December 31st, 1980 was the last concert that the Armadillo had, and they tore down the building. But this plaque is here to remind everybody about the history of live music in Austin and how we need to protect our venues. So we're here outside Waterloo Records, which is one of the most iconic record stores here in Austin. And we know that record stores, live venues, and theaters have all taken a hit when it comes to music and culture being celebrated in this last year. So don't forget to go out and support your local record store, no matter what. And today we're gonna hop inside, see what's inside Waterloo. And just so you know, Waterloo, ooh, look at that motherfucking car right there. Yes. Waterloo was the original name of Austin. So before it was called Austin, it was called Waterloo. So you'll see a lot of references of that throughout the city. I-35 is the major highway that goes through the city. And not only is it a major thoroughfare, but it's also a symbol of segregation here in the city. After the Civil War through the 1900s, Austin was pretty integrated until the 1928 Austin City Plan. Now, the master plan was said to have been created in order to attract more people to come to move to Austin and to preserve the beautiful spaces in the city. But what it really did was displace people of color and create housing segregation by moving the Black and Chicano populations from throughout Austin and forcing them east of the I-35. East Austin was the least desirable place to live for decades, but that's not the case anymore. With so many people coming to the city, East Austin right now is booming. Of course, there's a great food scene, a great art scene, but what we really have to look at is the effects on this community. This vibrant community is now being subject to gentrification at an alarming rate. And all of the things that make East Austin unique are again getting displaced and destroyed. right, we're here in East Austin at the Holly Street Power Plant, which is covered in murals done by Chicano artists. And all of these celebrate the Mexican-American heritage that exists here in Austin. The city of Austin has worked on restoring some of these iconic murals celebrating the Chicano heritage in East Austin. Originally created in 1992, this mural by Robert Herrera and Oscar Cortez is called Por la Raza. Now these murals are almost 30 years old, so this one has been restored, but you see that a lot more that are around the power plant haven't been restored and are definitely showing the wear of the Texas heat throughout the years. The city of Austin designated 4 plots of land to keep open for public spaces. And for a long time, it stayed as an empty lot and nobody did anything with it. But in 1909, the then mayor, Wooldridge, put this amphitheater stage here in the center of Wooldridge Park and changed the dynamic of the city and public speaking for the city. In 1911, Booker T. Washington came to Austin on a speaking tour. He was going around the country speaking to different cities about segregation. Now, he wanted to speak at the state capitol, but the Texas legislature denied him permission to speak. So the mayor of Austin, Mayor Wooldridge, invited him to speak at Wooldridge Square instead. And the newspapers reported one of the largest crowds of attendance at this speech. About 5,000 people, mainly African Americans, came to Wooldridge Square to listen to Booker T. Washington speak. Man, you can really see the park at all angles once you get up on this stage. I imagine that anybody who came up here to make an important speech with people that you can see from all angles as the park slopes up, you can just see everybody and the state capitol in the background. So it must have been really interesting for Booker T. Washington to be speaking here on this stage with the Capitol building right in view. Austin is no longer a small town in central Texas. It has become a booming metropolis. And as the skyline changes and has these glass and steel condos popping up everywhere, it's more important than ever that we take initiative to preserve the things, people, and places that make a city unique and contribute to the culture of the city. So by shopping local and continuing to support music venues and record stores and tattoo shops and restaurants and all of these places that are owned by locals that make a community strong and vibrant, we need to continue to support that. Even though these cities are changing, including my own, we need to continue to support local at all costs and preserve the awesomeness of every city that we encounter. So I hope that you learned some shit today. Have the best day ever, and I'll see you on the next episode.